Hey, Sean, thanks for coming back. Couple exciting things. Number one, just passed 200 subscribers late last week, which was really, really exciting. I've been like working on this channel semi-actively for coming up on a year. No, I'm sorry, coming up on 2 years. And it's been not frustrating at times to be making videos every week and having like 60 or 80 subscribers. And I remember when I passed 100 subscribers when I did the anxiety video. And I've just been plugging away at it, and I want to do like a tongue-in-cheek video of like how to get your first 200 subscribers, but that's not now. I'm busy right now, which is point number two. So, point number one. Thank you very much. If you're one of the 203 people who are currently subscribed, that means a ton to me. So thanks. Number two, tomorrow night I'm filming the most ambitious thing I've ever filmed. I've done a whole lot of different cool things lately with the college school, and I've got some other projects coming up. I've been the collaborations and stuff that I've done so far with Dane and Greens Productions and Prism 3. There's a lot of cool stuff that I've gotten to be a part of lately, but tomorrow night is like me. It's my thing that I helped dream up a little bit with Strange Donuts, and Jason and I talked about it for a long time, and we had to figure out sort of the technical limitations to it. And then after that first Greens Productions shoot, one of the guys, Keith, is actually going to be my DP on the shoot, and I'm really excited to work with him and sort of tag team this project because it's, I think, too big for one person to really get right. And so he and I are tackling it together tomorrow, and I'm pretty excited about that. So stay tuned because it's going to be awesome. And there's like some behind the scenes stuff that I can't show yet, where like I made this cartoon sketch storyboard and edited it all together. And so we'll be able to see what the final product looks like in contrast to this cartoonish sketch of the idea. So thanks for caring, and to the people who leave comments and ask questions about that stuff. Thanks, it's awesome, and this is going to be a fun one. The big thing I wanted to talk about today is learning. And yes, I'm doing a series called What Have You Learned? And I just posted an episode last week with Felix, which was awesome. And I have one coming up next week that I had filmed at the end of last week with this woman named Debbie, who's a nutritionist and a personal trainer, and has done some really cool things with people with with a unique approach to fitness and what it is and what it can be. And it's a crowded space full of a lot of noise. And coming from social media, it was funny relating to her as she was talking about all the misinformation, and people sort of get turned off to certain things because like, no, I tried working with a trainer, or I tried a diet, it didn't work. But you know that like that's not the half of it. Like you can try the wrong things and then you can't write off the whole system just because that one thing didn't work. But I say all this to say learning is really important to me, and it's really fun. And that's why when I made my first What Have You Learned, like me, about as a business owner, I did like the pilot episode. What I talked about was eagerly being wrong. And that was like my advice is to eagerly be wrong about things, because when you're wrong, that's when you can grow and change and get better. And you don't gain much by crossing your arms and saying, well, I already know that. I know how to do this. I'm already the best at that. And that attitude is not unique to any single industry, but the ability to grow is also equally as viable across any number of industries. And video is certainly no different. As methods and the art continues to progress, there's so much to learn every day. And I wanted to quickly go through the few things that I've learned in the past like 2 weeks. It's been a pivotal 2 weeks for me. And so really quickly, today I got to shoot with Dane. Natalie and I helped Dane shoot. I don't know what I'm allowed to say, but we were shooting some stuff with an iPad. We were walking through some things in an app. And it was seeing Dane light this stuff, where I light a lot of interviews and I light things, and I like to be somewhat dramatic and take my time when I can, but I don't always have the most opportunity to do that and to take my time. And today was like a master class on lighting a stationary item. And yes, that we were using the iPad, but like, so to get all the reflections killed and to get the angle of everything right, and we're bouncing light all over the place so it's soft and so that we're not getting bulbs reflecting off anything. It was fascinating to watch Dane do what he does really, really well, and to get to sit there firsthand and learn how to do it at least better than I am currently was really, really awesome. And I'm excited to take that into whatever I film next and whatever cool things that I can light moving forward. So my lighting masterclass was one thing I learned. I went on a bender for the past 2 weeks, like obsessing about audio and getting the right sound. And I was working with my footage from the upcoming video with Children's Miracle Network, where we were shooting in the hospital. And we shot in like 18 different locations, and we were moving quick, and we didn't have the time to turn off the air conditioner or to turn off the life-saving medical equipment that is needed by the hospital. And so a lot of the audio has buzzes and hums and noise, and each clip has a different set of problems in it. And so I was going through and trying to isolate this stuff, and then I was looking at using Adobe Audition and looking at a handful of different software, and I finally settled on getting RX6 Isotope by Isotope. And holy cow, there's a ton to learn out there. And I started the like 86-hour MZ course and made it about 14 hours in over the course of 2 days, learning about audio and how it works. And it was fascinating. And it's already affecting the way that I've been doing the audio for these videos and the way I've done audio for that What Have You Learned. And I'm really excited to see how I continue to tweak audio as I get more and more serious with audio in these videos. I did a little video I posted to Instagram just shooting in the snow yesterday or the day before, and it was really fun because I recorded some ambient audio and messed with that a little bit, and that was like my first real experience with like, let me record some audio and use it in the video. Next, shot lists. I've made shot lists when I have to do B-roll for a client. I like to work ahead and make a shot list, but this project tomorrow night has a very, very intense story to it. We are limited to the 60 seconds of video allowed in an Instagram video, and we have to pace certain things, and there's one part we really want to drag out, and it's the kind of thing where like, if you use 15 seconds to explore anything, in a 60-second video, that's 25%. That's a quarter of the video on 15 seconds. And so making this shot list comprehensive and thinking ahead to what gear we're going to need, because we're going to have a limited time to create this. And so I'm excited to do it, but it was really cool to learn by doing how to really dive into a shot list and work backwards from a storyboard to the shot list. Or I guess that's working forward, starting with a storyboard and getting to a shot list. But learned a lot about that and sketched my storyboards, and like I said, edited a little video with those sort of animated. But learned a ton having to do with shot lists, which sort of brings to the next point, slating. Like the board, like 3, 2, 1, camera speed, action, that clapper guy. I've never used one. I've never used one until 2 weeks ago, because everything that I've done has been one-man band, where like if it's using 2 cameras, I know where my audio, I've never had to like take my files and give them to someone else so they have to be marked or it's convenient. I've never taken files from someone else with a multicam thing where I would need to sync those up. So a slate has been largely unnecessary, but it's been cool to, today I was in charge of slating, and while it wasn't that intense of a thing, it was cool to understand the use for it and how to be efficient with it. And I'm excited I think we're going to slate tomorrow night because we've got like 36 individual shots. And when we go to edit, it's going to be really handy to know what is what. And as we shoot, to make sure that we're checking things off. But yeah, I'd never slated before. I've done video production for like 12 years. Never done a slate before today. 2 last things. I've been not experimenting, but I've been experiencing the difference of roles between like a producer, a director of photography or DP, the grip, the assistant director, and again, having always been a one-man band, I just haven't had any exposure to what these roles are and how they're different. And I hear about things like that. And I've been asked before, like, hey, would you mind coming and I've been asked to produce before. And I've been scared because I don't know what that looks like compared to being a camera person. And so the past few weeks, getting to shoot with Dane on these multi-person shoots, especially that first one where we had a big crew where everyone had their different roles. Learning that firsthand was something I've been looking forward to for a long time, and I couldn't have asked for a better crew to do that with the first time because they were very forgiving and patient. But then tomorrow night, it allowed me to actively approach it where Keith is going to DP and I'm going to direct and produce. And I'm excited to step away from the camera role a little bit. And yeah, we're still working together, but to separate things a little bit and give thought to each part of this process to make the best final product possible is something that I had never known before the last 2 weeks, and now I know. And lastly, and this revisits the first working for myself video that I did, which if you haven't watched it, it's the truest way. It's like sparked this whole series because I was really worked up about it. But without saying any names, and a few of you who have reached out and a lot of my closer friends who watch these videos know who I'm talking about. But I've been in a rough situation with one client where there's been just squabbles about pricing and payment, and there's been a lack of respect, and it's caused me a lot of problems. And like I said in that video about sort of running a business responsibly and standing by my ethics of like, I have a reputation as a creator, and I like to be flexible and I like to be friendly. And that lends itself to sort of being taken advantage of financially sometimes, where I don't put my foot down. And if somebody needs one more edit, but like it would increase the total cost, a lot of times I swallow hard and say, you know, I'll take care of it. And when I do that enough, this one client in particular really sort of took advantage of that, and it bothered me. And this past week, I was in a unique situation where they came back to me because there was a project they needed some changes on due to some strange circumstances. But for the first time, because I had the footage, I have the projects, I had the power, and it wasn't anything to abuse. And I was talking to some people who were like, you know, make them pay ahead of time if that's been the issue. Like, make them agree and put a down payment, and you don't deliver the final files until the payment is cleared. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to make a special circumstance. I wanted my terms and my agreement to stand for themselves as I designed them to do. It's just that they've been ignored, and it's been uncomfortable for me to go back and be like, look, this is what you agreed to. Don't make me feel like a jerk for enforcing the stuff that we agreed to and the stuff that I put in place based on a lot of experience with this client and with a few others, to address problems and address these friction points and make sure that I'm covered so that I can do this and do it well. And I was able to approach the situation and just basically say, look, here's my agreement. Make sure that you familiarize yourself with it, and anticipate this, this, and this, which is already covered in there, but I don't want to go back over it later. And it was nice to be able to approach it with the control to where I could have said, like, sometimes when a project comes up and there's pushback on it, it was easy because it was during lulls of work where it was kind of like, well, you know, whatever, I'll do it for X dollars, and I won't put my foot down and say no because I could use the, you know, whatever money. But I was in a situation here where I was able to say, I could say no. I could walk away and say, if you're not willing to do it on the terms that we've agreed to, then I'm not going to do it. And it was really nice to be in that position, and to see that my terms and my conditions, I think, are really fair and they're straightforward. They're on my website. If you want to go look at them, it's boomreactive.com/costs. And it has my actual costs for everything, what it costs for me to come out and shoot, or for me to bring other people with me to come out and shoot now as I'm doing more multi-person crew stuff. But then also all the terms and conditions on intellectual property, who owns it, payment. If I'm waiting for like 2 months to hear back from a client and they just sort of disappear, I used to not be covered to be able to bill for the work that I had done. And I was sort of waiting for feedback. And so I wrote in a couple of years ago that if you just sort of disappear, I can bill, and that's all in there. So it was just really nice to approach it and say, these are my terms, and I'm confident in them. I don't have to make a special accommodation for you because you've been not suspicious, but you've taken advantage in the past of my kindness, I feel, and my flexibility. And so just to step back and say, these are my terms, they're fair, take it or leave it, was a really, really nice and refreshing emotion to have. So I've learned a lot in the past few weeks, and I'm continuing to learn more. And if you want to learn more, you can go check out my series, What Have You Learned? And if you want to submit stuff for the Plays Not Points video that's coming up, check out the video I put up on Instagram on the Plays Not Points account, instagram.com/playsnotpoints. I need footage from people to include in this little montage section at the end. So please submit stuff and be a part of that. Thanks for watching these. It's fun to make them and fun to talk. And my favorite part is when people follow up and they're relating to something. And there's been a few great comments where it's a totally different perspective, or it's a parallel industry where there's no crossover, but a lot of the same exact issues are happening over there. And so comment, let's have a conversation and teach me things that I don't know yet, because I love to learn. Thanks for hanging out. See ya.